Hey everybody, welcome to Performance Anxiety, part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Before we get into the show, I do want to thank AKG for sending us their amazing Podcaster Essential package. It's got a Lyra mic and the most comfortable set of headphones I have ever used. Now, Keith Kenny is a one-man band, but not the kind with an accordion and cymbals on his knees. He does use the suitcase as a drum, but more on that later on in the show. He's known for his multiple, extended, and varied sets. I mean, how many people do you know who can pull off a one-man acoustic-based Tool medley? His new album, Lifetime Ago Motel, is out after a 6-month delay, but it's well worth the wait. And follow him on social media. Follow us at Performance ANX. Buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. Merch is available at performanceanx.threadless.com, and it was designed by Mark Dancy, who did Soundgarden's Bad Motorfingers artwork. Rate and review us, please. It does help. And now let's catch up with Keith Kenny on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, this is Keith Kenny, and I got a new record coming out called Lifetime Ago Motel on April 2nd, and you can check that out at keithkenny.com. But right now, you're listening to Performance Anxiety Podcast. All right, first take's a charm.
How you doing?
Let me see.
Oh, you're muted.
Anything?
Yep, there we go.
You can hear me?
Oh, yeah.
I can't hear you at all for some reason.
Oh. Let me make sure I'm not muted. Testing.
I've got no audio from you on my end, but this is also my first time using this this way. So.
Oh man. Wow.
I heard it ring.
I would give you advice, but you can't hear it. Can you hear me?
Just put the headphones off. See if I can hear you.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Nope. Yeah, I got video, no audio.
That's so weird.
You want to just try recalling? I'll hang up. Check.
Hello, can you hear me?
I got no audio.
Damn. Oh, gosh. I am not a tech-savvy guy.
Oh, wait, hold on. Are you coming through my mixer? Oh, you're coming through my mixer. Oh, that makes a lot more sense. All right, we're good.
Awesome.
All right, sorry.
Oh, no problem, man.
Thanks for being my guinea pig on Skype, figuring out how the Skype routes shit.
Absolutely. My pleasure, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, nice to meet you, man.
You too. It was, I could hear you just fine, so it's kind of funny. I'm sitting there going, cool. Maybe you should try this. I'm like, what? You can't hear me. What the hell am I offering your advice? Yep. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Perfect.
All right. So, thank you for joining me. I've really enjoyed going back and listening to your stuff, man. It's really cool stuff.
Thank you for listening to it. It's not everybody does.
See, and that's terrible. I hate that. The way I've mentioned this on the show a few times, and I try to let everybody know that if you guys are going to spend as much time as you are with me on the podcast, the least I can do is actually study and get to know the work and the person I'm having on. So,
well, I respect that. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Not everything has to go chronologically in these episodes, but it usually starts out with how you got into music in the first place. You know, was there a lot of music in the house when you were growing up, or were you the black sheep by getting into music? What really started that love of music for you? So, listening to music wasn't so much the big thing around my house when I was growing up, but my dad did have an acoustic guitar, and he picked up playing when he was like 26, so like right around when I was born, he started playing. So he would just come home from a day's work and strum a few chords, and he would improvise lyrics and play like a quarter of a Neil Young song or something like that. Nice. But he had like a lot of passion and definitely like a natural talent for just coming up with stuff on the spot. And so I was definitely around seeing an instrument being played Okay.
But it wasn't like a house that was like, vinyl was spinning all the time or anything like that. Actually, most of my introduction to music was probably just from watching my dad play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So were you interested early on in learning how to play as well, or did that come later?
Not really. He was trying to kind of coax me into it when I was probably like 8, 9. He started kind of putting out. I didn't have the bug yet at all. I hadn't seen like Wayne's World 2 yet, which was actually a really important moment for me as a musician.
Really?
Because it made it real, like seeing Aerosmith come on stage and sing Shut Up and Dance, or lip sync Shut Up and Dance in front of the Wayne stock. It was like that was a big deal to me, because I was at that impressionable age of like 10, 11 years old, and it's like, what the hell is this stuff? This looks like amazing.
I still have that soundtrack.
Yeah,
it's in. I've got like 4,000 CDs in boxes behind me, and it's in there somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, they are actually, I think there's been like write-ups and just discussions about how Wayne's World did actually, they brought a new life to Bohemian Rhapsody because it was introducing it to a new, younger generation, and that was me. Yeah,
and that song really was out of the public conscience, whatever. It was out of the public eye.
Yeah.
By that time, it had run its course, and now you can't escape it, for better or for worse.
Definitely. I mean, there was like a resurgence of that kind of rock culture from those movies. So that was one thing. And I mean, I was 10 and it was 94. So Green Day Dookie was the biggest thing out, right?
Yep.
And these were influential things in my life. And when I saw that my dad played acoustic guitar, it wasn't all that interesting to me, but there was rumors that we had an electric guitar in the family, but it was at my uncle's house and it had just been living there for a while. So on my 11th birthday, that showed up, and it was just this cheap Japanese Hondo 2, like kind of like a Fender Strat knockoff.
Okay.
And I remember my 11th birthday, I had like a sleepover party, and my buddies were over, and this guitar showed up, and I just remember not being able to take my fingers off the thing. I was just really interested. I gravitated towards it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that kind of started the whole being obsessed with playing thing.
Wow. So when did you start playing? And I guess maybe since you're right now, you're a one-man band, and not the kind that I think of, because I think of that dude on the Hormel pepperoni commercials with the accordion and the cymbals on his knees,
right,
and a drum on his back.
Put it on a pizza, yum, a nacho yum. Put it on anything for pepperoni. Ooh, I wanna eat it up, Got to get me some homemade pepperoni. My, woo!
That's not what you do at all, I found out.
Right, right.
Did you start playing in bands, or were you just a one-man show from the beginning?
No, I was always interested in having at least a trio.
Okay.
At the minimum. But now, even where I'm at now, I would love to have like a proper 4-piece band. Because in my opinion, like, it's the best there is. Like, all my favorite bands are 4 pieces. It's usually like one person is dedicated to their instrument. So, just drums, bass, guitar, vocals, that's one of my favorite lineups, like Tool or Metallica. Some of that, heavier stuff, but like Zeppelin, is a perfect 4-piece. To me, like the band, the word band, 4 letters, 4 guys, like it's everything. 4 is the magic number.
It's awesome.
But I always had a trio kind of thing when I was coming up. So I played with my buddies, Tyler Kiera, who goes under Big Boing's Acid Rainbow right now.
Oh, cool.
And he's a badass drummer, but as we were coming up, I think we're both kind of creative super kind of creative like direction, kind of wanted things to go in the direction we wanted. And I think we were just kind of going opposite directions at that time. Like we were 20, 21 or whatever. So it just didn't work out at the time, but our musical friendship is still there.
Oh, that's
but but you know, it's like, it just always seemed like the band fell apart or it fizzled out, or, you know, one guy got a girlfriend, or, you know, some guy could never make it to practice, or like some guy never had any money because, you know, so he wouldn't buy anything for the, you know, and then you find out, you're like, man, I'm just running this whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
You just go, you know what? I really want to do this as a career. So how can I do that? And relying on a band at the time just didn't seem feasible. So I kind of gravitated towards the one-man band thing out of necessity. And also had some major influences that came through in my later, like, you know, 16, 17, that were definitely shaping the desire to be more of like a troubadour, you know?
Oh, really? Like who?
Well, I mean, Neil Young is always just a force of nature. Everyone knows that. But Michael Hedges is one of the more underground, not as well-known technical fucking guitar fingerstyle guru.
Insane player.
Right. And it's actually... in my high school, there was a substitute teacher who, instead of doing the lesson plan, was showing a video of Michael Hedges to the students.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even have him I didn't even get to see it in class, but I was getting a ride home from my friend, and he said, you got to check this guy out. And it was the days of Napster. Yeah. Okay. And I downloaded Ragamuffin by Michael Hedges illegally. Yep. Which I feel horrible about, because Michael was not a well-renowned artist, like well-known, but he could have probably used the money. He had already unfortunately passed away at the time, but I did download it, and it was completely mind-blowing that guitar was making that sound. Oh, God, and that became the obsession of like learning that style, learning that technique.
So when you play, you're not the typical troubadour kind of guy just sitting on a stool just playing the guitar, or even like a lot of the percussive guitar players where they're playing a guitar and, you know, slapping the body for different percussive sounds. You do some of that, but you're also playing a suitcase. Right. So how did that come about? Because that to me is just, it's incredibly inventive.
Oh, thank you. But I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of a cop off of like stuff that's been out there.
Really?
Well, there's always, I saw I've seen like all kinds of guys are using these kickboards and stomp boxes now and all that stuff. It's just kind of like a percussion with the foot. And it really kind of like, it goes all the way back to John Lee Hooker. Just like hearing on his recordings the tap of the foot while he's playing, right? You know, like this kind of this like natural foot rhythm has always kind of been there. It's been deep in the blues. Oh yeah. And so that's kind of been evolved into like guys putting little pickups on the pieces of plywood, and they'll run that through a PA system with a ton of low, and it gives it that kind of kick thing. Okay. And so I was messing around with those like stomp boards, and then I like kind of magically this big red suitcase shows up at my studio one day, because I had been making like pedal boards that fit into suitcases, and I loved like, I don't know, I have that OCD kind of gear techie weird thing where I love like fits things in boxes with foam around it, and it just feels like it feels really good. I've
got one that I grabbed from work so I can put my little mixing board in it, because I used to do a sports podcast and we'd go on location, and I never got around to doing it, and then I had to give the old board back, and I bought my own one, and I haven't done an on-location thing in 2 years, and so now it's just sitting in my garage.
Now you got it all set up and ready to go.
And it's all just taking up space now.
Exactly. But like my mother's friend had this big red suitcase in her attic somewhere, and I guess she heard that I was using these suitcases, and it just showed up in my studio one day, and I got home from work, I think, and there it was. I'm like, that is perfect. So I went through years of like messing with it, and it sounded horrible for a while because I was micing it in the wrong spot, and the sound guys would be like, you gotta put the mic here, and like, don't use a suitcase. I'm like, I gotta get this thing right. And eventually, like I did, I found the sweet spot, and then I was starting to get compliments from the sound guys. Like,
spot of the suitcase.
I like my, that mic'd up better than a kick drum because I got more control over it. Like I've heard guys say, so it's pretty cool. Like through a big PA system, it really works well. If you're like stuck in the corner of a bar somewhere and you just got some like shitty overheads, you're fucked.
Yeah. Have you ever experimented with other suitcases?
Yeah, I mean, I had a few of them before that magical big red one showed up. It's the American Tourister, like the 70s style. I have like 4 or 5 of them now.
I was going to ask if you had backups or if that one goes.
Yeah, I got backups now. Yeah, my whole rig, like I have sections of my rig and all of it fits in the red suitcases.
So does the suitcase transport your stuff and then become the kick? Or wow, that's amazing.
That's the beauty. That's what makes me feel like happy. You know, that gives me fulfillment for some strange reason.
It is earning its keep.
Yeah.
So I've been watching some of the live shows. I mean, I went back and listened to the albums, but I also have been watching some of the live videos on YouTube, and
cool.
They're crazy, man. You, like I said before, you're just not what I expect when I hear one man band. There's so much energy when you play.
There's definitely some negative connotations to one-man band, I think, for many reasons. And then, but I was inspired by a lot of really energetic, like one-man band performers, like Keller Williams. I saw him. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but I saw him in like 2001 or 2, and he was really just starting to skyrocket as far as like getting a following. Yeah. I went on a whim. I didn't know anything about him other than some guy at Guitar Center turned me on to him, gave me his CD and said, you should go check him out. And I went. And I went by myself, and I was just blown away because it was like everything I wanted in a live show. It was like the energy, you know, running around on stage, making all these sounds, all different kinds of instruments, and that was a huge influence in making kind of turning my show into something that you know.
One of the other things that I liked about your show, and part of the energy is you're playing your original stuff. You're playing some really interesting covers, and in between it all, you've got great stories. And I think that's like an undervalued part of being up there on your own. You know, if you're in a band, something happens, you go and you can talk to the drummer for a minute, you know,
right.
You know, you don't have to engage the audience really. You know, the guitars can go do a you know, an extra long guitar solo while the drummer replaces a snare head or something. Yeah. Or vice versa. Drum solo. So, because the guitar broke a string. But you can't do that. You got to engage with the audience. If you just sit there quiet for 5 minutes while you're restringing something on your guitar, people are going to lose interest. And so that is, to me, almost as important as the music itself, is the interaction with the audience. And you do an incredible job because it doesn't all sound like it's canned stories.
You know what my biggest fear is dead air. And it happens to me a lot because I use like different tunings on guitars and stuff, and it's acoustic guitars. They're always out of tune. Yeah. You know, it's like I'm constantly having a tune. And
you're playing pretty rough too. I mean, you're not like, right. You know, you're pretty. You beat those strings up pretty good.
I know it's not good for the guitars. They're in rough shape right now. But. You know, and then like I'll have a fucking hi-hat pedal break or something, you know, and it's terrifying to just think that you're up there and there's just dead air. You know, it's like the radio host's biggest enemy too. So I think I'm still working on trying to be better with the stories and stuff. Like I look up to guys like Leo Kottke. Yeah. Like, he doesn't even need to play a damn song. He could just talk for 2 hours and people love it. Yeah. That's amazing. It's an amazing skill. So there's a part of me that would love to just do a set with perfect transitions that would never require any stories or any talking. Right. And there's the other part of me that would just love to be so goddamn charismatic that the stories in between your songs are they're looking forward to that more,
Right.
in some way, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you're doing a great job of it from the shows that I've listened to. There's one where you do 2 sets, and I watched as much of that as I was able to today at work. So
You saw a video that was 2 sets long?
yeah, crap. Where the hell was it? You did I'm trying to remember where the hell it was. Was it the Saint? Or no, it was the place in New Hope.
Oh, John and Peters?
Yeah, it's like almost a 3-hour-long video on YouTube.
Holy shit! I have never seen this.
Oh, dude, it's great. I'll see if I can shoot you a link. It's I'll shoot you a link to your stuff. It's both of the sets are completely different, so it's really fantastic. But,
thanks for watching it.
Oh, absolutely, man! But in
Just
between,
to know that it exists is cool.
the sound is good on it, and the video is good. So but it's cool because in between you're talking to people, you're interacting with them. There's 2 people have a birthday on the one show that. So you have you're wishing one person happy birthday, and then the other person's like, "Oh, it's my birthday too," and so you've got this whole interaction going, and I
nice.
love that. But
Well, I will say that venue is a special place.
yeah,
And it definitely it has that kind of reciprocating vibe to it.
I have family close to that area. I'm gonna have to go next time we can get up there because I live in Virginia now. So
Yeah.
but on your recommendation, I am gonna have to go there. And
Yeah.
when stuff opens up again. All right, so I was going to ask this question, but since we brought that up, I was going to ask this a little later. Are you able to play out at this point, or are you doing any live streams, or what are you doing to keep your live chops going?
Yeah. So when it first all started, I was live streaming like crazy, as most, like a ton of musicians were, right?
Yeah.
And once it got to about that 3-month mark, when it got a little nicer out, and I think people were also a bit crispy on the whole live stream thing. They had seen enough live streams for
3 pandemics.
Right. So I kind of slowed it down. I've been trying to do them about once a month. So I've been doing that, and then here and there'll be like an opportunity for a show, but that was mostly over the summer. The last one I had was an outdoor thing in November, and that was nice.
Yeah.
Because it was outdoors, so you could have the social distancing and some safety precautions. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's tough because there's not a whole lot of opportunity out there.
Well, you do some really wild covers that, again, being up there on your own with technically an acoustic guitar, I'd never, if that's the description that somebody gave me, I would never expect, a couple of Tool covers, some Metallica.
Fret for your figure and fret for your latte and fret for your berries and fret for your contract and fret for your contract and fret for your violet and fret for your Prozac and fret for your bars of shit. Rain,
The way you attack those songs is just incredible. What kind of gear are you using live? Because you're getting loops, and I think one of the things that people have to remember is that since you're up there on your own, you don't just bust into a Tool song, or you've got to kind of build it up to get that backing track going.
Right. So my basic rig is the acoustic guitar. It starts with the pickups. So there's a pickup in the sound hole, which is like a magnetic pickup. It's called a Sunrise. It's
Okay.
pretty popular amongst like professional musicians as far as like that pickup goes. But it's a magnetic pickup, so it does have some qualities where you can get electric sounding tones out of it, and you can run it through lots of different kinds of effects like distortion and
Yeah.
delay and reverbs and stuff, and it'll be fine. You won't get that nasty feedback. And then the other pickup system is the Amulet by Trance Audio, which is under the bridge.
Oh, okay.
And that is more of like a natural, real acoustic guitar pickup that can pick up the sound of the body, also the percussive stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so what happens is those signals go and they split up. So one will go through a bunch of gnarly effects, distortions and wah-wah and whammy and shit and get all fucked up. The other one stays relatively clean. It just goes through some nice reverb and maybe a little like sub-octave stuff, so it gets like the low end. And then all that stuff runs into a loop pedal. And the loop pedal allows all that stuff to, you hit record, you hit play, and it'll just keep looping, and you could put as many layers on top of that as you want.
Wow.
And then it kind of gives you, as like a solo artist, it gives you a lot of room for creativity and blending different sounds together, because you got the pedals to kind of, say, oh, well, it is just an acoustic guitar, but now it kind of sounds like I don't know, like a synth organ or something, just because of the amount of effects it's going through.
Yeah, because you do some of those really wild effects on some of your own stuff too.
Yeah, I got, just like slowly, you just kind of slowly build up to it, like one effect at a time, and they eventually you're like, I need that on the board now. It can never leave. It must always be there. You get kind of dependent on it, which is a little scary at times, because there's always technical malfunctions, cables, and just pedals will, they'll stop selling certain pedals because they didn't sell enough or whatever, and now you're stuck with this box that you love that you can only find on eBay. Now it's a boutique for $450 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't afford that, man. Come on.
Oh no, that's the problem. I'm trying to remember which band it was. Maybe it may have been L1011, or because they do a lot of effects too, and I think it was them. They were talking about how they basically just use like mainstream effects, because if something breaks, you can just go to your local music store and get it. If you have a boutique pedal and you're in Topeka, and that's a main part of your sound, then you're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, I could see why people just use Boss pedals, just straight up. They'll always be there. I mean, the power sources are all pretty much the same.
Exactly.
You're good,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really like the Tool covers, and I hear how maybe some of that heavier music has crept into some of your music, even from the beginning. You do a really good Keenan, man. You're especially the non-shouty Maynard James. The more cleaner vocals.
Yeah.
You do really good cover of him.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, obviously, people love his voice so much that I was intimidated to take it on, but I was young, and I just was like, fuck it. I love this song. I want to just sing it and do my best. But I admire his ability to get to that shouty stage. I would love to be able to get there with my voice one day. I just don't have it. My voice is kind of built for a more of a clean kind of stuff. So I mean, I've tried, but I always feel it the next day pretty gnarly if I go for the scream shout thing.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Going back and listening to your stuff, man, it just, and seeing the clips, man, it really does make me want to see you live. If I didn't know it was just you up there, I would believe it was an entire band. So now that I know that it's just you up there, it makes me want to see it even more. So hopefully we'll get some stuff opened up, and I can go up north, see some family. And
hell, I'll come down to you, man. Jesus, I've been dying to get on it. Where are you in Virginia?
I am about 75 miles due west of DC, so I'm in Winchester.
Okay.
So from New Hope, it's probably 3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not
terrible. I have a cousin that lives outside of DC there, and what's that name? What's that name of that damn city? I forget.
Baltimore.
Starts with an A.
Alexandria, Arlington.
Arlington, there.
Arlington, there. Yeah. Oh, Arlington's a nice spot, man. I got a few friends out there. I don't have a government job, so I can't afford it.
Yeah, he does. So, so I crashed with him when I played in DC.
There you go. Well, there's some cool places to play in DC. I really hope some of them can open back up.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Oh, I miss going to Black Cat 930. There's some awesome places, man.
Yeah, have you ever been to the Electric Maid?
No.
That place was fucking cool.
I've
A really small little DIY venue.
oh, that's okay. So it's
And,
kind of like DC9, maybe.
Yeah, probably a little bit like that.
Okay.
I hope that they're still doing all right through all this. I don't know. It was definitely like kind of a community space as well, but
Yeah.
they would put on these shows and you never knew. I didn't, as a touring act, I didn't know what to expect. Like I got paired up with just like, it was a totally eclectic night. And that could either go one of two ways. It could be horrible
Yeah.
or it could be amazing. And
Right.
this was the amazing version because all
Good.
the acts were really good at what they did.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
But it was so cool.
See,
Um,
I've
yeah, I'm missing that.
yeah, I've only in the past couple of years been able to go back to seeing some shows. My kids are well. Let's see. When I used to go to shows when I lived in Jersey. I lived in Central Jersey. Like so, I was like an hour out of New York and a little over an hour to Philly. So
Yeah.
I could just go wherever to see whoever I wanted to, as long as I had the money to get in and get out. I was good.
Right.
And then I moved to Alabama, and it was rural Alabama, and there was nobody coming. I mean, the closest shows were like 3 hours away. So,
Yeah.
and then
Did you ever go to the Nick down there in
no,
Birmingham?
oh no. I'm familiar with the name, but when I moved there, I was about 3 hours south of Birmingham. That was about 3 hours south of like everything. I was 90 miles, almost exactly. I think it was like 88 miles directly north of Panama City Beach. So,
Okay.
so I was right on the edge of Alabama and Florida. And Birmingham was about 3 hours northeast. Tuscaloosa was like 3 northwest. And then Atlanta was like 3.5 to 4, even farther northeast.
I see.
So, and my brother went to the University of Alabama, so I'd be in Tuscaloosa all the time, and we just go to these little dive bars and see the local bands play. And he swears we saw Oasis at the Tabernacle in Atlanta one year, but I don't remember it at all. I don't know if I was just that drunk or what. But
Yeah.
I don't remember it at all. Oh, God. But after that, I got married and we started having kids. So from like 2003 to just a couple of years ago, I didn't get the chance to see too many shows. So I'm not super familiar with a whole lot of the places in DC anymore. I'm just starting to get back into it now, and then the pandemic hits, and then
Right.
but I am bringing my camera because I used to be a photographer. So when you come down
cool.
to play, I'll bring my camera and we'll get some shots. I'll send you some later.
Cool.
Just to show you I'm not full of shit. I actually know what the hell I'm doing. That's one thing in my life. I know what I'm
You
doing.
have this podcast, so I know you're not full of shit.
All podcasters are full of shit. That's why we do this. The new album that's coming out is your 5th studio album.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
It's the fifth record. One of them's a live record, I believe. But so 4th studio record.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you go into the studio, how are you setting up? Are you? I mean, you're not doing the one-man show in the studio and recording it. Are you're recording one bit at a time, or are you trying to keep it as live as possible?
I've done multiple iterations of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But with this record in particular, I don't think I really did too much as far as like the one-man band rig goes as far as the setup. I definitely pieced it together kind of one track at a time.
Okay.
On an older record, I just set up my stuff, went in there, played the songs, and then did a couple overdubs and it was done.
Okay.
And that was called And the Light Came Blaring In. And I was really happy with that, but then at the same time, I felt like I didn't really have any producer chops back then, so I don't know that those songs, I think the songs are really strong, but I'm not sure that they got to see the light of day as much as they could have had they had a little more production value behind them.
But it'll only bring you down. Until the light came blaring in. Oh, the light came blaring in. Oh, the light. Oh, the light came blaring in.
this record, I wanted to get the most out of every song, and so I kind of try to produce, come at it with both this, as a songwriter and performer, but also with kind of that production hat on at the same time.
So all right, so an album like Evil Fuzz Magic, were you producing that whole thing? Because that is, that's a really cool group of songs. I mean, you
Yes,
really,
it's a 5-song EP, right?
yeah, it's awesome. I mean, Triage Recruit is incredible.
Thank you, man. I mean, just the fact that you can name that tune. No one ever comes up to me and goes, "Yo, Triage Recruit, man, you got to play that."
Oh, dude,
Like,
I love that. If I can catch you live, you have to play that because it's freaking awesome jam. And you made me sad with Herbie and Sam. So
yeah, it's a short and
that's
sweet.
a 38-second song, and I was doing fine for like the first 35 seconds. And not to spoil it for everybody, but Herbie and Sam die at this. So I guess I am spoiling it for you guys.
Right.
But
I mean, this song's pretty short, so it's not much of a letdown.
But I was rooting for Herbie and Sam. I thought that was really sweet, and then tragedy.
Yeah. So Evil Fuzz Magic came together really organically because I was jamming with Jonathan and Ian Lubarecki, who are brothers.
Okay.
And longtime musical friends, soulmates, I might say.
Okay.
We all love the same stuff, and we are inspired by each other and different creative juices and whatnot.
Right.
So at the time, Ian, who's actually more of a guitar player, was filling in on drums, and John was playing bass. He's a bass player. And we just did all that mostly in a live kind of setting. So everything was done we got together, I would get all the mics set up, and we would just kind of hit record and do takes of songs. Or Triage Recruit was more of a jam, which with some structure. But at the end, as you kind of hear, it kind of dissolves.
Yeah.
Because it's a jam.
Yeah.
So we had parts that worked out that we knew we wanted to get where we wanted to get to, but I don't think we ever actually finished it and said okay, well, this is how it ends. So it just kind of fizzles out altogether. But yeah, I love the places that one goes. It goes pretty far out there, and I really dig that.
We also did it live on. I saw you just tearing the crap out of Neck Hurts on one of the live videos that I was watching. Wow, man, that song is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Especially live.
That's one of those older tunes that has been in the catalog for so long. I've been trying to I'll revamp. I've kept revamping the ending a little bit more, and so I just kind of put this huge metal loop at the end.
Yes.
It's kind of like the show closer in a sense.
And I think it was the last track on that huge 3-hour YouTube show, and I think that was the closer for the first set, and it was just awesome.
Oh, nice! I gotta check this out. I gotta see what this is.
I promise I'll shoot you a link as soon as we're done. But I'm not gonna push this to finish so I can send it to you though. I'll tell you. The new album, Lifetime Ago Motel. All your music's, well, a lot of your music sounds very autobiographical. This one has some songs that are particularly autobiographical sounding. Songs like You'll Always Be the Star and The Letter. Are they autobiographical? Or how do you coming up with this stuff? And if it is, how are you singing this stuff live without just breaking down? Because some of this stuff is incredible.
Well, this one came from kind of a darker moments in my life where I was going through a divorce.
Oh yeah.
And a 10-year relationship that just kind of ended, and I honestly couldn't really write about anything else. I didn't have anything else in me other than this kind of, it was just really hard, and sad, and then there's, I think the record as a whole kind of showcases different emotions or feelings that you'll go through with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whether it be like a romantic relationship or even a friendship or something just as it has run its course. So yeah, for me, I mean, I would love to be the kind of songwriter that can just come up with this amazing story and not be attached to it.
Right.
And be able to deliver it and with like conviction and make people believe in everything. But for me, it's always been kind of a personal thing, and it definitely comes through in the songwriting.
Oh yeah, you go through a lot. It's not just one type of song. I mean, for going through such a traumatic event, I mean, there's everything in there. There's the happy, there's the sad, there's the angry, there's the FU, there's, move along, Ends Meet is great. I love that song. The Letter, it's incredibly emotional. I mean, but one of my favorites is Broken Misery.
Oh, cool. That's great, because we just cut a video for that, and that's the single, actually.
Oh.
So I'm glad you said that.
That's got to be the single, because that song is incredible.
Sunshine on me again. I feel it coming over. Raise the light all around. I know
It's heavy as shit, man.
Yeah.
That is a great track.
Yeah, I'm happy with how heavy it came out, because that was definitely the goal,
Yeah.
So with that one, that's coming out on March 5th. We just shot a video for it, so they're like right in the editing stages right now. So it's coming. It's
Oh, cool.
coming around pretty soon. So yeah, that's gonna come out March 5th, and the full album will be out on April 2nd. But yeah, with that one, it is basically a loop. It's like, and that's one that I would say is kind of, it's formulated in the studio almost exactly as it is performed live, with just a couple extra layers. I was able to get really fat sounding drums behind it.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a thicker bass part and stuff like that. Stuff that I miss out when I play it live and I only have the guitar with me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the goal with that one, was just to like build it out and make it as huge as I could.
Well, it's successful because you're doing this incredible like tapping, and it's a huge, heavy riff. I mean, I can feel a Tool influence on that.
It's super Tool influence. It came from basically Anima, the song.
Yep.
Or Anima, well, however the hell they
I don't
pronounce
know.
it.
I don't know.
I think they just do it to confuse people, so that people say fucked up things.
I have wondered about that since that album came out. So
Yeah, that was inspired by that tune. It's almost the same notes, really, but it just kind of taken in a different direction.
that Waiting for the Kill, another great track. And then going through this and then seeing how you do covers, I saw Little Lies and I'm like, is that Fleetwood Mac? But no,
right.
it's an original. So
Right.
I love it though. I love that. Hope that becomes a single too, because that song is fantastic.
you're tired of living like the world could change, but you know it stays exactly the same. You can solve your problems sitting under the sun, hoping and praying you'll be the chosen one. But after all your little lies, well, you
I'm glad you said that one too, because that's one that I showed to a lot of people, and I haven't gotten that response yet.
Really?
I've had people say that they like it, but I haven't had somebody say like Little Lies, you got to do something with that. And I love it, because I think for me, it was as like as creativity goes in the studio setting and like producing a song and like layering the vocals and stuff, it felt like I really like got it together.
Yeah.
With that one, and I would love to do something with that, like maybe a music video or something.
Oh, that to me, it screams single to me. But what do I do? I'm a podcast host and with a day job, so that's not my.
Hey,
Unfortunately,
your
that's not my
opinion matters, man. Every opinion matters.
Well, now you got I'm assuming a friend of yours to play on this with Sim Kane, and that's some great drumming, man. It's what I like is that it's not over the top, insane drumming. It's looking, who he's played with, Rollins and the Dean Ween group, and he's playing just what's needed. So it's a great addition to the sound.
Yeah, Sim played on "Waiting for the Kill" and "Lifetime Ago."
Okay.
And he is just so fucking good. When we were on tour together, I remember just like being there for the sound check, and what I said to him was, Sim, I like hearing you just tune the fucking drums. Because he just has he behind the kid, he's just phenomenal. So I was really, really honored when I asked him if he would come in and come to the studio and play, and he said yes. So that was a big moment for me to be able to jam with him like one-on-one in the studio and get some of those tracks down.
Some of the songs are complex with some strings in them. When you're writing specifically "Lifetime Ago Motel," are you concerned or thinking about playing them live as you're writing and building them in the studio, or are you just, I'll figure that out later?
So I do a lot of sampling beforehand, and I think sometimes for like really close fans, it could be a little bit of a letdown because I'll be working on my stuff live.
Yeah.
A lot, like I'll work it out in front of an audience for, sometimes it takes a year for a song to grow legs and stand up and be on its own.
Right. Yeah.
With the next record, I really want to do something where I don't even play one stitch of material live for an audience, and just like do completely from the studio and go. But a lot of this record was played out a lot, like live.
Okay.
Move Along was played, Broken Misery, You Always Be That Star was played out live, Moonchild. A lot of tunes were definitely sampled, and I kind of want that feeling of like energy exchange between me and the audience to see if the song is working.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
That helps me go into the studio and be a little more motivated to get it done.
Okay. How did you come up with the name "Lifetime Ago Motel"?
So it just kind of stemmed from the title track, although it's slightly different. The name of the song is "Lifetime Ago," and then those were the last lyrics that I actually wrote for the record. I was like struggling to finish this record. This was like, it was a big undertaking, and that was kind of like the last line that came to me for that particular song. And then I was talking to a friend, and he's like, what's cool, man? Like, Lifetime Ago Motel. Like, it's a place you just went to for a little while and you left. And
wow,
we just kept bouncing the idea back and forth. He's like, but you can't call it Lifetime Ago Motel. It's like, just call the song Lifetime Ago Motel and then call the record Lifetime Ago. I'm like, no, man. I think you got it. Like, Lifetime Ago Motel is the name of the record. I think we did it. And he's like, no, I don't think so. So we were like texting back and forth for 2 days. And I'm like, yeah, we named it Lifetime Ago Motel. So it was cool how it kind of finally came together. I'm real happy with everything now.
Well, I think the album is great just because it's not a bunch of the same songs. That's the pitfall that I think some people get into, especially if they're known for being a one-man band or a solo act, especially like the percussive styles. They can tend to sound the same to me. You
kind of overdo it. You keep using the same trick on every song or whatever.
Exactly. It's just like how many times can you hear Eddie Van Halen tap and it starts to kind of sound the same at some point. But you don't fall into that. And it's especially with this album because you're doing so many different, you've got so many different feelings and emotions in this. There's happy songs, there's sad songs, there's funny songs, there's a lot of humor, and to me, it sounds like, you're more concerned about songcraft than showing your chops. And as a listener, I appreciate that.
I appreciate you saying that, because that is kind of like, at the end of the day, the song is really what matters. I mean, that's what is the most memorable.
Yeah.
I think it's tricky to, when you work on your chops and you're coming up and you want to show off that you're able to do this technical stuff, but eventually you kind of feel like you're getting in your own way with it, and you kind of go back to the basics and what's important. And for me, that always comes back to the song and trying to do what's right for the song, serve the song.
Yeah. One of the coolest tracks on there to me is one of the surprise tracks was Burr's Roach Jam.
Oh yeah.
Just because that thing's so groovy, man. I love it.
That one's fun, man. That was the most fun I had.
Yeah.
Putting it together, because that was just really loose, one take for like pretty much every instrument.
Oh,
just
cool.
like lay it down real fast. Like just do the guitar. All right, we got the rhythm. Go to the drum kit. Lay it down. Go to the bass. Do the bass. Like do the vocals as like kind of crazy as I can with a little bit of like that Aaron Freeman Ween influence kind of going on, and it was just like. It just all kind of came together, and then it just sat there for a while because, I had all these other tracks culminating, and I was crafting them. And I would always just go back and kick on Burr's Roach Jam. I'm like, yep, still good.
Oh, man, that's awesome. And I definitely am recommending it to everybody that I can get it out to. As soon as it comes out, I'll tweet about it. I'll help you out as much as I can get the word out. It's just really cool. How can people maybe pre-order it or order it depending on when this comes out? I'm not exactly, I don't have the date exactly yet. So how can people find the album, buy it, and help support you?
So Lifetime Ago Motel will be out on April 2nd, and it'll be on Spotify, iTunes. But the best way, like if you really want to support, is just go to keithkenny.com, and you could buy vinyl. You could buy CDs there. You could just donate if you want. If you're just listening and you like it, and you don't have a collection, you're not interested in the artifact, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the main thing. Is just I'm excited to get it out. I'm really just pumped to have it out in the world.
I've got a question for you, and I don't know if this is going to make the podcast or not, because we were going to do this in August, and everything got pushed back. So I was just curious as to, was it because of the pandemic, or did something get delayed?
There were so many factors, man. There was definitely, the pandemic was a part of it. The unknown, for me, there was like an unknown financial restriction with like, I didn't really know if I was going to be able to make physical product, because I was afraid to reach out to my little fan base and see if they wanted to do a crowdfunding thing. It just seemed like a wrong time to ask,
Yeah, I can understand that.
With all the shit going on, it was just kind of seemed messy, So, but by the time November rolled around and we had already pushed the release date back, because I wanted to get a couple of things together, like the music video and some promotional stuff. So by that time, I said, you know what? If people want to hear it, and I don't think it's crazy that if they throw in $50, they get a limited edition vinyl and CD or whatever. That'll be, they'll enjoy that. So luckily we were able to raise the money, and I can't thank that core group of fans enough for making the reality of having physical product for this like actually happen. So
That's awesome because
it was huge.
I remember I got all the information and I started listening and writing my notes, and then it got postponed, and I was like, all right. So I was kind of bummed because I liked the album and I wanted to learn more about it.
Yeah, sorry we got pushed back like not even like 4 months. I think it's been like 6 months or whatever.
But then, you guys reached out to me and they're like, hey, do you want to have Keith on? And I'm like, sure, of course. So I went to go back and try to find my notes that I'd already written, and I couldn't find them. I had apparently accidentally deleted them. So I'm like,
no.
So now I got to come up with everything all over again. So I was scrambling, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to sit down, and I'm going to re-listen to the album, and I'm going to go back and listen to all the other stuff, and it'll just, whatever I wanted to ask, it'll come back to me. And I honestly, I really think it was for the best, because I remember listening to the album and liking it, but going back now, I know that I like it now a lot more than I did 5-6 months ago.
Right.
So I think, unfortunately, it worked out for the best for me, because I don't even want to say it grew on me. I don't know. It makes more sense to me now for some reason.
Yeah, I could see this album kind of being that way too. Which I don't take any offense to that, because some of my favorite music has always been the one that I'll sleep on for the first few listens.
Yeah.
And then I come back to it, I'm like, this is my favorite album ever.
Yeah.
And it just takes that time for it to all settle in and for you to kind of get what's going on or whatever. So I actually kind of almost take that as a compliment in a way.
Oh, I'm glad, because I'm trying to remember which song. Ends Meet. That's the one. It didn't hit me the first time I listened to it, and then listening to it the past couple of days, I'm like, no, I think I get it now.
Cool.
This is cool. I like it now.
Well, here come the holidays where the days get shorter, but the work still stays the same. Well, ain't it a shame? Wish I could make this ends meet taste sweeter. Wish I could make this ends meet taste sweeter. Hey, you see that girl at the end of the bar? I'd like to meet her.
I like it a lot more now. So,
Nice.
Is there a social media presence where people can follow you and keep an eye out on hopefully some upcoming touring dates and all?
Yeah, we're actually doing an album release show at John and Peters on April 3rd. So we're going to be streaming that show on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/Keith Kenny Music.
Okay.
And then I'm on Instagram as well. Most of my handles on Instagram, Twitter is Keith Kenny Music.
Okay.
And then YouTube is Keith Kenny, just YouTube/Keith Kenny. And the KeithKenny.com is the website that's got all the links and whatnot.
And all the information on how to order the new album and all your other albums.
Yes, they're all up there.
Which I highly recommend, because it's so good, man. I'm so glad I found out about you, because I'm really getting into, I seriously can't say enough about Neck Hurts and Triage Recruit and Broken Misery.
Thank you for digging in, man. This is great. just the fact that you went back into the catalog and it feels really good. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, of course. You get OCD about some of your gear. I get OCD about artists that I like. I go back and I listen to everything. God, I'm a completist. If I like a band, I get every release, even if it sucks. I get every release, and then I've
done that too. Yeah, and
then I go and I get all the little side projects and the guest appearances and all that stuff. Oh my god, dude! It started with Zeppelin, and then because my college years was 91, I went to college, so Pearl Jam was just coming out, and that's what Led Zeppelin and Pearl Jam was really what got me into doing that. Jimmy Page, Mike McCready,
Yeah.
and so I just like anything they're involved in. I'm like, I gotta get it.
Man, I mean, you going deep with Jimmy Page because he was a studio cat for so long, and the Yardbirds, and
Oh, dude, I've got.
I don't
so
know
much
how
crap.
deep did you go? I mean,
Oh God, I got, getting back then, the vinyl, all that vinyl stuff was a little too rich for my blood. So I would get the compilations, like
Yeah.
Jimmy's Back Pages, and they had one called Session Man, Volume 1 and 2. Got that. I have the 2 CD little game sessions where it has all the demos.
Awesome.
I would get boots of Jimmy. Obviously, a whole bunch of Zepp fans would go and get the live stuff, but I would also get the studio boots, like the demos, outtakes, like track. The ones that have like no quarter, take 4. Keys
Nice.
down. I've got this one that's got this like really weird jazzy version of No Quarter, and it's just
Cool.
It's incredible. But yeah, I mean, Pearl Jam was huge for me until Vitalogy. Everybody loves Vitalogy. That's where they lost me. I can't get it. I'm not a big punk fan, and to me at the time, and I probably need to go back and re-listen to the album, but at the time it sounded like they just wanted to be a punk band, and they weren't doing it very well.
I gotcha.
but-
Yeah, Pearl Jam never. I just never dove into their stuff for some reason. They were like one of the bands that just missed for me, and I don't know why, because I know they must have like just an incredible catalog.
I love their first 2 albums. I hated Vitalogy, and a couple of the songs have grown on me a little bit, but still don't particularly care for it. No Code they started to draw me back. Yield I liked a lot, and then Binaural came out, and I'm like, I'm done. That's a terrible,
Yeah.
it's a terrible album. And then I honestly haven't bought a Pearl Jam album since, so I don't know too much of their stuff. But like a lot of their side projects, like Mad Season, was incredible.
Yeah.
If you like Sabbath style riffs and all, pick up Mad Season, because it's Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, Lane Staley's on vocals, Barrett Martin was playing drums from the Screaming Trees, and this guy John Baker Saunders, something like that. I don't remember what band he was from, but he's on bass, and half the band is dead now. So
Cool.
oh, Mark
I mean, well,
Lanigan.
not cool that they're dead, but that exists.
Mark Lanigan plays on a couple tracks too, so
Right.
it's. I got into all the side projects. Anytime they would release a track on like one of the big things in the 90s was the tribute albums, where like Tribute to Jimi Hendrix has this one-off band. It's basically like Temple of the Dog minus Eddie and Stone Gossard. It's Mike McCready, Jeff Ament, Chris Cornell, and Matt Cameron doing Hey Baby from Jimi Hendrix.
Wow.
It's incredible. So so that's a long way of saying that if I like the band, I like the artist, I get obsessed by it, and I go back and I try to listen to everything. And that's what I did with your stuff, and I will continue to do that. And hopefully I'll get a chance to see you play at some point soon.
Hell yeah, I would love that. I would love to come down to Virginia,
Oh, yeah.
play, and get on the road again. That'd be amazing.
Oh, yeah, there's so many places to play in D.C. and just outside D.C. A lot of bars. We got a lot of breweries. Some really cool places to play where you don't have to worry about drawing in tons and tons of people.
Right.
You can just come in and just play, and they'll be thrilled with it.
Right.
Well, and look, I have taken up a bunch of your time. Thank you so much for spending all this time with me and talking about the album. It's been a blast.
Yeah, man, this is great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course.
A lifetime ago, I was holding